Hello, baseball fans. King Ikibu coming to you live from Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, where we are going to play our 1983 replay game of the week between the Kansas City Royals and the New York Yankees. This is the fourth game of a four-game series. In the first game, we had Gaylord Perry versus Ray Fontenot, and the game was won by the Yankees 3-2. And the player of the game was Silton Fontenot, also known as Ray Fontenot, who got his first win of the year and went 7.1 innings, 7 1/3 innings, allowing 8 hits and 2 runs to lower his ERA to 6.04. In the game, the offensive star was Dave Winfield, who hit his 20th home run of the year, and he's approaching his real-life total of 32. Gaylord Perry was the loser, 3-12. In his third start, I believe, with Kansas City, and Ray Fontenot got the win. George Frazier got the save. In game 2, Vida Blue versus Matt Keogh, the player of the game, pitching like it's 1981. He had his best game since he was a part of that dominating pitching staff of the 1981 A's, the one that just suddenly collapsed altogether. He gave up just 3 hits and 1 run in a complete game. Matt Keogh recently traded from the Oakland A's to the Yankees for a bag of hammers. And the final score was New York 8, Kansas City 1. The loser, Vida Blue. The winner, of course, Matt Keogh. And Dave Winfield, the hitting star, once again for the Yankees, as he hit his 21st home run of the season, his second of the series. And also, Steve Bye-Bye Balboni had his first home run of the year, as opposed to 5 in real life, and Willie Aikens hit his 14th home run of the year in a losing cause, the only run that the Royals would get. In the Saturday game, Game 3, Larry Gura versus Ron Guidry. This was very much on the eve of the Pine Tar game. We had a very Pine Tar-ish game. It was 4-3 Yankees, just like in the Pine Tar game in the top of the 9th inning. And just like the Pine Tar game, Billy Martin brings in the Goose Gossage, to close the game. And just like the Pine Tar game, there was a man on. And just like the Pine Tar game, there was a 2-run home run by a Royal to put the Royals up 5-4. Only instead of George Brett, Willie Aikens was the one who hit the bomb. In the game, in this replay game, Billy Martin came out to complain about Aikens' bat, arguing that there was tobacco juice all over it, as Willie Aikens chews a lot of tobacco. And the umpires laughed at Billy, so Billy went back to the drawing board to see what other schemes he can come up with tomorrow. In that game, the Royals scored 4 runs in the 9th inning to change a 4-3 deficit to a 7-4 victory. The winning pitcher was Dan Quisenberry, 3-4, and the loser, Goose Gossage, his 4th blown save, and his record is now 2-4 with a 5.74 ERA. UL Washington hit his 3rd home run, and Aikens hit his 15th and 2nd of the series, and it was a big one. And that brings us to our game of the week. The 4th game, the game from July 24th, 1983, the legendary Pine Tar game replayed. Bud Black versus Shane Rawley. Before we get to our game, we're going to talk a little bit about the Pine Tar game. Some interesting facts that I find fascinating. I might be the only one about the Pine Tar game. In the Pine Tar game, Don Mattingly, who wears number 46, of course he wore 23, half that number next year and beyond. But 2 batters before Brett, or as I call it, 2 BBB, with the score of 4-3 Yankees in the 9th and 1 out. Pat Sheridan, who came in for Willie Wilson earlier in the game, was up to bat, and he hit a scorching line drive, was destined to go down the line with 1 out, and Don Mattingly made an incredible leaping catch for the 2nd out of the inning. Then 1 BBB, 1 batter before Brett, UL Washington was up. He fell behind in the count 0-2. Dale Murray, who was pitching his 4th inning of relief, was 1 strike away from the save. And in the 0-2 pitch, he gave up a seeing eye single just out of the reach of shortstop Roy Smalley. If it wasn't for the toothpick man's clutch hit, this would have just been another ball game. Nobody would ever remember it. So thank UL Washington. After Washington seeing eye single with 2 out of the ninth and the Yankees up 4-3, Billy Martin pulls Murray, who pitched 3 1/3 innings, to bring in, just like this game, Goose Gossage. Goose doesn't walk in from the Yankee Stadium bullpen, but is driven in, not by a golf cart, but what looks like a 1983 Dodge Challenger. And now, of course, the pine tar incident itself. I don't have to play it for you. If you go to the blog, the write-up in the Delphi forums, you can see the incident yourself. But we all know what happens. Brett hits the home run. Billy Martin comes out, protests the bat. He's thrown out of the game, or he's called out, and of course he goes ballistic. But the ironic thing is that the pine tar does not juice the bat or make the ball go farther in any way. The rule was put in place years before to save baseballs from bats if they were covered with pine tar. If the ball was hit, and let's say for a foul ball, the ball would get pine tar on it, and then a crafty pitcher would be able to make a baseball do some crazy things. So the reality is, ironically, that the pine tar rule was put into place to help hitters, not to be their detriment, and also to conserve the number of baseballs used in a game. This incident resulted in home plate umpire Tim McClellan's first career ejections, and it was a 4-pack. Brett, of course, was ejected for his outburst. Gaylord Perry was ejected for stealing the bat and running into the clubhouse with it. Royals manager Dick Hauser and coach Rocky Colavito were also ejected for protesting the call too vehemently. The game was technically over at that point, so ejections really didn't mean anything, but did mean something when the game was resumed as Greg Pryor took Brett's place at third base. Ironically, the victim of McClellan's second career ejection 2 months later was also Dick Hauser of the Royals. Seventh interesting fact, at least is just to me, King Ikibu was being dumped by his girlfriend at almost the exact same time of this incident. However, King Ikibu did not have the same reaction as George Brett. His response was basically, okay, see you around. And of course, I talked in a previous weekly report that about a year ago, I came across this girl who dumped me on the day of the pine tar incident, but I didn't recognize her. And I just kind of blew her off. Who's this crazy old lady that was coming up to me that I didn't know? And later I was told that it was her. So I find that fascinating myself, or interesting, that this old lady, well, if she's an old lady, that probably means that I'm an old guy too. Anyway, number 8, the Royals protested the game, and unlike most times, 99.9% of the time when a protest, you kind of say, okay, protested, it means nothing. But this time, they won the protest, and the game was resumed 25 days later on August the 18th. Billy Martin was greatly ticked that the game had to be resumed, and his pine tar plan did not work in the end. And so he put Ron Guidry in center field when the game was resumed, and he moved left-handed throwing Don Mattingly to second, which you never see a left-handed second baseman, at least throwing second baseman, or shortstop, or third base. Another interesting thing was that Billy Martin appealed to first base and then second, claiming that Brett did not touch first 25 days before. And since this was an entirely new umpiring crew, he said, well, how do you have any idea whether Brett touched first or second or third or home at all? But the umpires, anticipating that Martin would pull such a trick, pulled out a signed affidavit signed by the previous umpiring crew that Brett did touch all of the bases after hitting his home run. Number 9, Don Mattingly on July 24th of the Pine Tar game was in the midst of a 15-game, or not in the midst, but at the end of a 15-game hitting streak. He did not start the game. Balboni got the start against the left-hander Black. When the Royals went to the right-hander Mike Armstrong, Mattingly was brought into the game to replace Balboni, the superior fielder for sure. He had one plate appearance and flied out to left. He was due to lead off the ninth, but when the pine tar incident ended the game, he was 0 for 1 and the hitting streak, his 15-game hitting streak, was over. However, the next game, Mattingly started another hitting streak that lasted 9 games. So when the Royals won their protest and the game was resumed 25 days later, it had the benefit for Don Mattingly to have this unusual situation where he had one 15-game hitting streak and one 9-game hitting streak able to be bridged together to become a 25-game hitting streak if he just would get a hit in his appearance to lead off the 9th inning. And if he would have got a hit and he would have had his 25-game hitting streak, he would have set a major league record for a rookie hitting streak, which was then held by Mike Vail of the Mets, set in 1975 of 23 games. However, Mattingly flew out to center and thus no 25-game hitting streak. Regardless, 4 years later, Benito Santiago would set a new rookie hitting streak when he batted safely in 34 straight games, which is still the record today. And the last fact, number 10, George Brett would later say he was grateful for this incident. Up to then, Brett was known mostly for being the hemorrhoid guy. When in the 1980 World Series, he was forced to leave Game 2 due to hemorrhoid pain. For the next 3 years, he heard constant jokes from opposing players and fans about hemorrhoids and being the hemorrhoid guy. After the July 24th, 1983 game in Yankee Stadium, he was no longer the hemorrhoid guy, but was now the pine tar guy, which Brett greatly preferred. And you can see Brett's interview about that on the Del Foy write-up blog, whatever you want to call it. If you go to the link that I'll put in the description of this video. Anyway, let us begin the replay of the 1883 July 24th Pine Tar game. As played, lineups. Leading off as played on that game. And playing center field for the Royals, Willie Wilson. Batting second, the shortstop, U.L. Washington. Batting third, of course, the man of the hour, the third baseman, George Brett. Batting fourth, the designated hitter, Hal McRae. Batting fifth, the right fielder, Amos Otis. Batting sixth, the first baseman, John Wathan. Batting seventh, the left fielder, Leon Roberts. Batting eighth, the second baseman, Frank White. Batting ninth, the catcher, Don Slott. And the starting pitcher, Bud Black. And now the lineup for the New York Yankees on this Pine Tar game day. Leading off and playing second base, Bert Campaneris. Batting second, the third baseman, Greg Nettles. Batting third, the right fielder, Lou Piniella. Batting fourth, the designated hitter, Don Baylor. Batting fifth, the center fielder, Dave Winfield. Batting sixth, the left fielder, Steve Kemp. Batting seventh, the first baseman, Balboni, Steve Bye-Bye Balboni, who would later play for the Royals, but now is playing for the Yankees. Batting eighth, the shortstop, Roy Smalley. Batting ninth, the catcher, Rick Cerrone, and the starting pitcher, Shane Raleigh, the left-hander for the Yankees. So let's get this game underway. Willie Wilson leading off, batting .286 with no home runs and 21 RBIs. And he gets a walk. He's going to try to steal, and he gets thrown out at second base by Rick Cerrone. Caught stealing to begin this ball game. Here's UL Washington, the toothpick man. He's batting .232 with 3 home runs and 40 RBIs. And he gets the second column, so too bad that Willie Wilson got caught stealing, because let's see what he can have here. 34, which is a double. So at least Wilson would be on third base, and maybe he would have scored. So that's where the stolen base really costs the Royals. Here's George Brett batting .306 with 15 home runs and 50 RBIs, and slugging, leading the American League in slugging with .585. Here's the pitch to George Brett, and he gets a home run, a 2-run homer, just like he did in real life. But so the question is, would Billy Martin come and protest this bat now instead of the 9th inning? Because he was waiting for the right opportunity. He knew that Brett had too much pine tar on his bat, and he was waiting for the right moment to protest, to challenge. So it's possible he could be challenging in the 1st inning and not the 9th inning. And we could have this whole incident in the 1st inning. But we'll pretend he doesn't, as we want the game not to be ended here or to be all this to happen now. We want it to happen later, so it is 2-0 Kansas City. Here's Hal McRae, and he rolls 5-6, 23. He pops out the short. And Amos Otis, he pops out the short. So after 1 inning, the score is Kansas City 2, New York nothing. And let's look at the standings. Kansas City is in 6th place with 12 games back with 39 and 51 record. And one thing I will say, if you've been following this replay all this time, how many times have I said Skeeter Soft loves the Minnesota Twins? They always overperform. Every year. They won the World Series in 1980 in the replay. They always much better in the replay than they are in real life. But on the flip side of that, Skeeter Soft hates the Royals. The Royals in 1980, when they should have won. In real life, they won the American League pennant. Didn't even come close to it in the replay. In real life, they had like a 20-game lead. And in the replay, they were well out. Well, I believe they were in 2nd or 3rd place. Minnesota. No, the A's were in 2nd. I remember that. And I think the Royals were in 3rd. But the point is, they didn't win. And then ever since, they've been way underperforming than they did in real life. So Skeeter Soft hates the Kansas City Royals. You can see it here in where are they in real life here at this point in the season. They are 3rd place, game and a half back. But here in Skeeter Soft, in the replay, they are in 6th place, 12 games back of 1st place. So yes, Skeeter Soft hates the Royals. But in the American League East, in the replay, or in the real life, they are 52 and 40, a game and a half also out of 1st place. But in the replay, the Yankees are in last place, 43 and 49, 16 and a half games out of 1st place behind Toronto, the surprising 1st place team who continues to lead the American League East. But I cannot say that Skeeter Soft hates the Yankees because they have won. They did win in 1980. They lost the American League Championship Series to Minnesota, but at least they have finished 1st place and not have underperformed as the Royals have. But back to the replay. Bert Campaneris leads off the 1st inning off Bud Black. And another 5-6, the 3rd 5-6 in a row. Let's see how it turns out. Oh, he almost gets an error, but he pops out the short. So we are pretty much, if you get a 5-6, a good chance you're going to pop out the short. Here is Greg Nettles. He's batting .238 with 11 home runs and 32 RBIs. And he grounds out to short. Lou Piniella, .255, 320. Gets the start against the left-hander Black. And he throws a double 6. And he gets a 33. So he has homered to make the score 2-1 Kansas City. This game is not over. Unlike, well, of course, it's only the 1st inning. Here's Don Baylor batting .287 with 9 home runs and 39 RBIs. Here's the roll for Don Baylor. 6-2. He flies out to right field to end the 1st inning. So it's 2-1 after 1. Here is John Wathan, .277, 1 home run, 22 RBIs. And he grounds out to 3rd. Here's Leon Roberts, .175 hitter with 2 home runs and 10 RBIs. Greatly underperforming. He had a decent year in 1983, but is well underperforming here in the replay. And he gets double ones, so maybe he's getting back on the right track here. 55. Oh, mostly if doubles could be a home run, but for him, it's not. It is just a double, and he's an S runner, so we're going to put the brakes on him. And so with one out, here's Frank White batting .234 with 8 home runs, 43 RBIs. Pretty close, a little bit under his real life numbers. Here's the pitch to White. 6-5, we know what that means. It's probably a pop-out. No, it's a pop-out this time to third base. A little variety there from Skeeter Soft. And here's Don Slott with 2 out. And Leon Roberts at second trying to cash him in. He is a 336 hitter with no home runs and 9 RBIs. And he gets an infield hit. So Leon Roberts goes to third. And Slott gets on. Too bad it was an infield hit and not a regular hit, because otherwise Leon Roberts would probably have scored. We'll put the brakes on Slott. And here's Willie Wilson, who walked and was thrown out in the first inning, or otherwise this could be a 3-1 game. Here's the pitch to Willie Wilson. 1-4. 45, he's a flied out to end the inning. Here is Dave Winfield, the big bat of the Yankees, batting .313 with 21 home runs, 50 RBIs, and is overperforming by 20 points over his on base and 50 points over his slugging. Here's the pitch to Winfield. 2-2, re-roll, 11. He gets his 3rd home run of the series and ties this game at 2. Dave Winfield, his 22nd home run of the year. Here's Steve Kemp batting .244 with 10 home runs and 32 RBIs. He rolls 3-4, which is a fly out to center. Here's Balboni. He just had his first home run of the year, .241 and 10 RBIs. Getting close to his real-life plate appearances. So looks like Mattingly will take over full-time and get out of this platoon system. Here's the pitch to Balboni. 6-6, another home run, his 2nd home run of the year, and the Yankees take the lead 3-2. Here's Roy Smalley, the biggest bat of the Yankees July so far. As I pointed out over here, his July so far is .375, 47, .656 with 3 home runs and 6 RBIs. He's having a very hot July. Here's so far in the season, he's batting .270 with 11 home runs and 43 RBIs. I don't know why the Minnesota Twins gave up on him. Doesn't make any sense. They didn't get much back either for him and Butch Weiniger. So I think the Yankees robbed the Twins blind in that one. Here's the pitch to Smalley. He gets the walk. So he's on with 1 out, and Rick Cerrone is up. He's only batting because Butch Weiniger has a slight groin pull, and so he's got the start today. He's batting .226 with no home runs and 4 RBIs. And there's a wild pitch, and Smalley goes to second. So he gets another throw here. 3-3, a base hit, and the Yankees get another run. And Black is downgraded to D. So the Yankees are getting all the rolls here in this game. And Cerrone's at first base. We don't put the brakes on with 1 out. We put the brakes on with 2 out. Here's Campaneris, 0 for 1. Fly out. Now we'll put the brakes on Cerrone. So there's 2 down here in the 2nd inning. 4-2 Yankees. Here's Nettles. Foul out to end the inning. Washington. Walk. He's going to try to steal. Does not get the jump. Here's Brett, who homered last time. He grounds out to third. Washington to second. McRae. Fly out to left. Washington holds. Amos Otis. Base hit. A runner scores with 2 out. He's going to try to steal. He does not get the jump. But Amos Otis makes it 4-3 Yankees. And he puts on the brakes on Otis. Here's Wathan. And he flies out to end the inning. But it's now 4-3. Here's Piniella. Piniella flies out. Baylor. He gets a single. Does not try to steal. Brings up the red-hot Winfield with 3 home runs in the series. And he grounds out, but Baylor goes to second. Kemp flies out the end of the inning. After 3 complete, the score, New York 4, Royals 3, just like real life, only it's not the 9th inning. Here is Leon Roberts. He singles and he reaches on an error by the right fielder Piniella. So he's on second. We'll put the brakes on. We do put the brakes on when there's S runner on second base with less than 2 outs. Here's Frank White, 0 for 1. He grounds the out to third because the ball's hit to the right side. Roberts goes to third. The tying run is at third base with 1 out. Here's Slot. Slot rolls a bad roll. 6-5. And it's probably just, yes, another foul out the shortstop. Here's Wilson. He's 0 for 1. And he grounds out. So wasted opportunity there for the Royals. And it's still 4-3. Here's Balboni. He's homered already in this game. He strikes out this time. Smalley flies out to center. And Cerrone gets double ones. And he gets a 23, which is a double. But he has a chance because Bud Black has the ugly L. He has a chance of a home run. He has to roll 11-24. He just gets over, so it stays as a double with 2 out. And I don't put the brakes on second base S for anybody. Not just because it's the Yankees. I'm playing it straight, ladies and gentlemen. Here's Campaneris. He is 0 for 2. Grounded to short and flat out to left. And he gets double ones. So the run scores. He doesn't try to steal, and it's now 5-3 Yankees. Here's Nettles. 1-2 inning over after 4 complete. 5-3 Yankees. So we're not going to have the same score as the Pine Tar game. Here's Washington. He is doubled and walked. And he has a chance of an error, and he pops out to second base. Here's Brett. He's homered and grounded to third. And he's out again, flied out to center, and McRae, another 6-5. How many 6-5s has it been in this game? He fouls out this time to first base. Here's Piniella. Pinella's homered and flied to right. And he gets a base hit. Yankees are getting the lucky rolls today. I'm biased, though. Here's Don Baylor. He is 1 for 2. And he gets a strike, so he gets another roll. Here's another roll. Wild pitch, he gets another roll. The count is 1-1. And he flies out to left, runner holds. But the runner's in scoring position in the person of Lou Piniella. Here's Red Hot Winfield, homered and grounded to third. And he pops out to shortstop. Lots of pop-outs into the infield in this game. Here's Kemp. He is 0 for 2. And unlike most times, the Yankees do not get the 2-out base hit. And they strand a runner, and it's now 5-3. Both teams have stranded 4 runners. But the Yankees have the 2-run lead. Here is Amos Otis. He is grounded to short and singled in a run. And he flies out to center. Wathan, another 6-5 roll. How many has there been? So it's another foul out to, this time to third base. Roberts. He is 2 for 2 today. So he's trying to get that batting average over 200 over the Mendoza line. And this time he grounds out to second. Inning over. Balboni. Okay, so we can pull. We can pull Black, and we'll bring in, just like, oh, it's down here. Just like real life, we can bring in Armstrong, which is what we're going to do. So Mike Armstrong's going to come into the game just like real life. I think it was in the 6th inning when he came in. Maybe it was the 7th. So he comes into the ball game. He is 4-2 with a 1.19 ERA. A sparkling ERA of 1.19. So we're going to do just like they did. Balboni is gone. And in comes Mattingly. And he does not have a 15-game hitting streak. He recently had a 10-gamer, but it was ended a couple games ago. Mattingly's batting .280 with 2 home runs and 10 RBIs. And here's the pitch to Mattingly. Foul ball. Gets another roll. This time he flies out to right. Here's Smalley. He is 0 for 1 with a walk. And he grounds out to short. Here's Cerrone, who's 2 for 2. And this time he flies out to center. End of 6, 5-3 Yankees. And we might as well take out Raleigh and bring in Murray like in real life. Here's Murray, recently traded from the Toronto Blue Jays for a couple relievers and Fred McGriff. So that was a good trade for the Blue Jays. Murray is 2-4 with a 3.76 ERA to face Frank White, who is 0 for 2. And he gets a ball. He gets another roll. Here's his second roll. It's 6-6. What can we do with the second roll? 2-2. It is a... Oh, but he has not the dreaded L. He has a G, so he has a chance of having voodoo to bring this ball back in from being out of the yard. Here's the pit. Oh, he gets a 1-6, so the voodoo works. And it seems to always work for the teams I don't want it to work for. And Frank White is at second instead of a home run with nobody out. And we put the brakes on him. Here's Don Slott. He is 1 for 2 today. Here's the pitch to Slott. And he gets a base hit. We put the brakes on. Let's see if it helped us or hurt us here. Should we try to steal? Sure. Doesn't get the steal. So let's see. Single over second, runner scores, but S out at home. So if we didn't put the brakes on, he would have been out at home. So it's a good thing. So we have runners on first and second with nobody out here in the 7th inning, and Willie Wilson is up. He's 0 for 2 with a walk. Here's the pitch to Willie Wilson. And he gets a re-roll, and he hits a sacrifice fly. So it's now 5-4 Yankees. 5-4 Yankees. Slot at first. Here's UL Washington, who is 1 for 2 with a walk. And a fielder's choice. He's much faster, so we're going to try to steal. He gets the stolen base. He's on second base for George Brett here in the 7th inning. Brett could tie the game up with a base hit. He is 1 for 3 with a home run today to face Dale Murray. Here's the pitch. He gets hit by the pitch. And he's on first base. And there's 2 men on with 2 out for Hal McRae, who is 0 for 3. Batting .314, 7 home runs, 70 RBIs. Among the league leaders. Let's see where he is among the American League leaders in RBIs. He is, look over here, ladies and gentlemen. He is 3rd behind Cal Ripken, who has 74, and Cecil Cooper, who has 79. And if you look at the National League, oh, no, that's wrong. But the wait, things don't go as fast as when we have the recording going on. If we go to the National League, you see the only 2 guys above Hal McRae are Dale Murphy of the Braves with 78 and Jack Clark, who's the leading MVP candidate with 77. So Hal McRae is 5th in baseball in RBIs right now. So here's the pitch to Hal McRae. Let's see if he can add to his total of 70. Let's cross our fingers, chew our nails. Let's hope he does it. Let's see. 1-2. That is not going to get it done. That is the worst roll in this game. And 54, so would have been at least a double play, maybe a triple play. I don't know if there was nobody out, but he gets a fielder's choice, and the inning is over. So after 6.5, the score is New York 5, Kansas City 4. Here's Bert Campaneris. He's 1 for 3. He walks. And the odds are not good enough to have him try to steal. So he's on first. He's a fast runner for Nettles. He's 0 for 3. And he gets a home run, Greg Nettles, to make it 7-4. I was kind of hoping that it would be that 5-4 score in the 9th inning. We might have a replay of Brett coming up. But Kansas City has work to do if we're going to get a 1-run game in the 9th inning. So Armstrong does not. He gives up a rare home run. Let's see what has he given up many home runs this season? Not Athletics, Kansas City Royals. Armstrong, that's his 3rd home run he's allowed this season. So the game is now 7-4 Yankees. Here's Piniella. And 4-4. Lots of nice rolls for the Yankees today. He gets a base hit. Brings up Baylor. Baylor 5-4. 52. Fly out to right. Runner holds. Winfield. Fielder's choice. He's going to try to steal. Does not get the jump. 2 out on first base for Kemp. 4-6. Fielder's choice. Inning over. But one of my least favorite Yankees, and that's saying a lot. Greg Nettles hits a home run to make it 7-4. So Murray is now tired. He did not pitch 3 1/3 innings like he did in real life. He only pitched 1 inning, and he's tired already. So we're gonna bring in Frazier. Frazier is their best reliever. He is having a very good year, as you can see. 1.61 ERA, 4-4 record. It's going to be tough for the Royals to come back on him. He's got it's even better than a G. He has an H, which means his voodoo happens most of the time. And he has an X, which means he strikes out more batters than normal. Here's the pitch to Amos Otis. Can they come back? 4-4, which is normally a very good roll, but Frazier takes it away. 1 out. Here's Wathan. He is 0 for 3. He grounds out to short. 2 grounds out to short to lead off the 8th inning. Here's Leon Roberts. 4-6. That's a fly out to right. So, doesn't look good for the Royals in this one. We're going to take out Armstrong. We're going to bring in the Quisenberry's coming into the game. Quisenberry is 3-4, 2.77 ERA, and he has 17 saves and 20 opportunities. He has that also a very good H rating and a double Z, which means he doesn't walk hardly anybody. Here's the pitch to Mattingly. Mattingly is grounded out to short. Here's Smalley. He could have an error. Nope. He grounded out to first base unassisted. And here's Rick Cerrone, 2 for 3. And he's 2-4. He strikes out. So we are going to let Frazier stay in the game. And so to get a replay of the Pine Tar game, there's some work that they're going to have to do. If they didn't have that home run, we would be set up quite nicely. I mean, a little bit of work would have to be done to get Washington up and then Brett, but it can still happen. We can still get these guys up and see if we can have something of... If Brett gets on, Frazier comes out, and Goose Gossage comes in. That's what we are agreeing to do. Let's hope that happens. Here's Frank White. It's not very likely, though, because Frazier is so good. Anyway, here's the pitch. 2-3, ground out to second base. Slot. Gets a base hit. We're not going to try to steal. We would hate to see a 66 roll and then get thrown out. So here's Willie Wilson. He needs to get on base. If he gets on base, Washington gets on base, we'll have a same situation or a similar situation with Goose Gossage coming up and the tying run on base and the winning run at the plate in the form of George Brett. That's what we're hoping for. Here's Willie Wilson. 1-4. He flies out to left. The best we can do is have Brett come in with a tie. It's up to UL Washington with 2 outs, just like real life. We're going to put the brakes on Slot. We don't want to get thrown out at third with 2 out. Here's the pitch to Washington. 6-6. He rolls a 25, which is a triple. Okay, so here comes George Brett with Washington on, and not the winning run, but the tying run. So we are going to bring in Goose Gossage to face George Brett with a game on the line. Not exactly the same, but pretty close. That's all we could ask for, ladies and gentlemen. Goose Gossage has struggled this year. Look at this ERA, 5.74. Even though he has very good rating here, 8.2. He's got XYZ. I mean, you can't get better than that. XYZ. This means he strikes everybody out. Z means he doesn't walk anybody. And G means he gives up very few home runs. And yet he's been shelled for a 5.74 ERA. Explain that. You can't. Anyway, here we go. George Brett up with 2 out. UL Washington up. And Goose Gossage on the mound after he got driven to home plate driven to the mound in a Dodge Challenger from 1983. Here is George Brett. Can we get a home run? Oh, I would almost. Here's a time I wish I had dice to roll it myself, but I don't. I'm just going to let the random number generator roll the dice like usual. Here we go. He flies out to center field. No home run, no pine tar. And the game is over. The Yankees win. No protest, no replay. 25 days later, the game is over. Nobody will remember this game. Maybe they'll remember it because of the first inning, and maybe Billy Martin would have come out at this point and said that the bat was illegal from pine tar, and maybe he would have got the home run reversed, and maybe he would have charged the mound. You don't know if it would have been the same in the first inning as it would be in the ninth inning, but yeah, we'll leave it up to your imagination. Anyway, the final score: the Kansas City Royals 5 runs, 10 hits, no errors, 7 left on base. The New York Yankees 7 runs, 10 hits, 1 error, and 5 left on base. The winning pitcher, Shane Raleigh, 7-7, 383. The losing pitcher, Bud Black, 4-7, 493. Holds for Murray and Frazier, and a save for Goose Gossage. That ends our Pine Tar replay game. This is King Ikeboo signing up from Yankee Stadium. We'll see you next time. Goodbye, everybody.